set. All right, we're going to go ahead and call the Morgan County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for August 26, 2024 to order. We do have a quorum this evening with all members present. This time we ask Mr. Rumbaugh to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, under God, liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rumbaugh.
Was that a, oh, I thought it was a dog.
I'm sitting on the damn thing.
All right, we were sent a copy of the minutes from last month's meeting. Were there any changes, corrections, additions, deletions to the minutes? If not, open for a motion to approve.
Move to approve the minutes as sent.
Thank you. And Gordon, are you seconding that? Thank you. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye. The minutes are approved. We also got a copy of the agenda sent out to us in advance of the meeting. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening? Open for a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye. The agenda is approved. Thank you very much. All right, folks, for those of you that are going to be speaking this evening, I hope you signed up at the back. Did everybody that wants to speak have a chance to sign up at the back? That's the only way we're going to hear you. All right. So at this time, we're going to ask the board's attorney, Mr. Peden, to swear in everyone who's going to be speaking this evening. All right, so before I call the first item up that's on the agenda this evening, folks, a couple of things. When you come up and you're the applicant, we ask you come up to the podium and speak from the podium into the microphone so we can pick up what you're saying. If you can't hear us, raise your hand and we'll try and talk louder, or you can move up closer. There's empty seats in the front of the room. When you come up as the applicant, we ask that you start out by giving us your name and your address, and then give us in detail what it is that you want the board to do, why you need us to grant a variance or approve whatever matter you've submitted to us this evening. Any questions about that? The more detail, the better. If you're here in opposition to or as an interested party, I'll call you up as well if you've signed up. And again, we ask for you to give us your name and address to start, and then tell us what your concerns are, if any. All right, first item on the agenda under new business this evening is public hearing D-24-13. Kevin Forbes is requesting a development standard variance to reduce the rear yard setback for an accessory structure. The property is located at 393 East Bunker Hill Road in Monroe Township, and is currently zoned for ag. And for this application, I have Kevin Forbes signed up in support of and as the applicant. And I have, I believe, no one else signed up. I do not have anyone else signed up on behalf of this application. So Kevin Forbes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Forbes. Reside at 393 East Bunker Hill Road, Mooresville, Indiana. I have, there is a primary residence on the property, and there is also a detached secondary structure on the property, which I'm currently using as a wood shop and a storage for a garden tractor. And just as people and families grow, so grows their stuff, and we just need a little bit more room to store some miscellaneous things from our garage and from our house. And so my hope was to build a 12-foot by 20-foot addition to that existing accessory structure. The accessory structure was built in 1999, and at that point I believe it was at an acceptable distance from the property line, and then since then, the zoning for that area has changed, which then caused that structure to be too close to the property line. The addition that I am building onto that structure, for it to work, needs to be attached to that structure. It's not as wide as that structure, so it's actually going to be offset from the property line a little bit more, but still not the required distance from the current zoning. So I am asking the commission to grant a variance to build this addition to this accessory structure approximately 6 feet too close to the property line.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
I will answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Gentlemen, questions?
Talk to your neighbors, person that it's going to affect,
I'm sorry?
to anybody that this is going to affect, like a neighbor?
All three of them. There are 3 neighbors that could be potentially affected. One absolutely couldn't care. The other 2 actually came over and we spoke about it, and they were perfectly satisfied what I was going to do.
Thank you.
So it looks like you're going to be encroaching, so to speak, on the neighbor behind you, directly behind you, more than anyone else. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And along that property line, you're going to be, looks like you're 8 feet currently, you're going to be 9 feet off of it
Correct?
with the addition to this? And no commercial operations in this addition?
No.
Any more noise going to be generated than what there currently is when you build this addition?
None.
Gentlemen, any questions for the applicant? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, this is a request for a development standard variance. And in order for the board to grant this, we have to agree that the applicant has met certain qualifiers, or what we call findings of facts, for us to consider approving this. Under item 1, it asks for the description of the request, and the applicant has written the request for this variance pertains to setback of a structure from the rear property line. On this property, there currently exists a wood frame garage. It was built approximately in the year 2000. The structure was constructed approximately 8 feet from the rear property line. The current owner desires to construct a small addition to this existing structure. However, the current zoning setback requirement is 15 feet. The addition will be inset from the existing structure by 1 foot, therefore creating a 9-foot setback from the property line. Under section 2 and 2.1, the application makes a statement that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The applicant indicates that's a true statement. And to support that, has written the proposed 12 by 22 wood frame addition will be used for housing and storage of yard, landscaping, gardening equipment, including related materials customarily used to support the maintenance of a single-family dwelling. No other activities that would be injurious to the public health and safety, create a public nuisance of any kind, or denigrate the general welfare of the neighborhood or community would take place in or around the proposed addition. Under section 2.2, the statement is the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Applicant indicates that's a true statement and writes, all properties surrounding the subject property are single-family dwellings with their own accessory structures. Also, given that the proposed addition would be architecturally identical to the existing structure, it is assumed that property values in the areas would improve. And lastly, under 2.3, the statement is a strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. The applicant indicates that's a true statement, and to support this has written Due to several site constraints, there are two practical difficulties that would arise if the ordinance were strictly enforced with no flexibility. Number one being the proximity of the septic system, and number two, the preservation of existing trees. For this application, the Health Department states that they will need to be further investigated to determine if it meets proper setbacks for the proposed addition in regards to the existing septic field. The county surveyor has reviewed and makes no comment. Staff's recommendation is that they meet the findings of facts and therefore support the applicant's request to reduce the rear yard setback for the garage addition to 9 feet from the property line. Gentlemen, we're open for discussion.
It's not even as close as the existing building is he's going to attach to, so I see nothing wrong with it.
Other discussion, gentlemen?
Nope.
No, I agree with Mr. Rumbaugh on this. Any other discussion or statements?
I make a motion, we accept it.
All right. Open for a motion.
I make a motion, we accept it.
Thank you. Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second to that motion? Mr. McGrath seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye. That was approved. Thank you very much. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is public hearing D-24-14. James Robison is requesting a development standard variance to reduce the minimum living area for a dwelling unit. The property is located at 0 South Morgantown Road in Jackson Township in a zoned ag. For this application, I have James Robinson as signed up as the applicant. And in support of the petition, I have no one else signed up to speak regarding this application. Mr. Robinson.
As stated, James D. Robinson, address is 925 Silver Valley Circle, that's Greenwood, Indiana. The property at hand, as noted, is 0 South Morgantown Road. It's approximately 28 acres that my wife and I purchased 19 months ago in classified forest status, and we've planned and are in process of building a pole barn on the site in large part for the management of the classified forest. There's a variety of equipment that's required that we own to help manage invasive species and do the work that needs to be done on the wooded property. Within the barn, would like to build and finish some living space. There's, I believe, a draft of that within the packet that you have, but would allow for a small office, bathroom, little kitchenette area with sitting space, and then storage as well within that facility.
Anything else you'd like to tell the board?
It's a great property, beautiful place.
We
It's
can barely hear you, or
Oh,
at least
sorry.
I can. Are you guys hearing him okay?
Closer, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
It's a great property, a beautiful place.
So you're going to build inside the pole barn, and a pole barn already exists, is that what I heard?
The structure is about 90% completed, yes.
And then within that, you're going to have a 600 square foot dwelling,
Yes, sir.
and that's going to consist of what again?
An office, a bathroom, small kitchenette, sitting area, and then a storage location.
And who's going to be
closet.
using this dwelling?
My wife and I are.
You're building a home on the property as well?
Within 24 to 36 months, yes. We've already met with builder and have identified a location for the home. So the living space will act as a bridge on the property to allow us to work down there, spend the night down there while doing the work, and then ultimately to build a house.
And then after your home is constructed, what happens with this structure?
We'd continue to make use, maintain the barn as is, so that accessory dwelling unit would then become secondary in terms of, would maintain an office in that space, the small kitchen area as well.
Is the office for a business?
Well, I would work from down there from time to time. I operate a consulting firm from time to time during the day. If I'm not out in the woods clearing timber and such, then could utilize that space to do some of the other work if need be. It's not retail in any way, so the work would all be online.
What does your classified forest have to do with this?
Really, the purpose for building the barn is for storage of equipment and doing the work in the classified forest. So maintenance, removal of invasive species over a period of time, storage of equipment that we need to use to, in fact, manage that property.
That's a second cutting area that you're living in, isn't it?
Pardon me?
A second cutting area that you're living in?
Yes.
There's not much of a forest there. I mean, not
Well,
very much trees.
Yeah, we cleared some of that space to set the stage for the pole barn, correct. But the remainder of the property, just under 28 acres, is forested, heavily forested, a variety of trees of different maturities in the property.
How long do you anticipate it will take you to complete where you get permission to live in the house after, if we approve this? How many months until you've got a house that's over 950 square feet?
24 to 36 months. Anticipating it takes about a year to build a house in the woods, all the clearing work that goes with it plus. So if we start within 18 months, somewhere within 30 months or so time.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
On the property line here, the blue line that says your property, but I don't see any driveway or anything.
We cut a lane from East Cooper Road through the property coming from the coming from the north. So there's a lane that has been.
You're coming from Cooper Road, you say?
Yes. So instead of coming from the west off of Old Morgantown, coming from Cooper.
How far are you from the county line there?
That's a good question. I don't know that I know.
I'm very familiar with the area. That's why I asked. You know you're real close.
Yes.
Gentlemen, any more questions for the applicant? No? Nope. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, just like the prior application, this is a request for a development standard variance. Again, the applicant has to, the board has to agree that the applicant has met certain findings of facts. For the description of the request, the applicant has written this request is for a reduction of the required 950 square feet of living area. We are building this accessory dwelling unit prior to our plans for a future primary home. So we want to build it with approximately 600 square feet of living area instead of the required 950. After the primary home is constructed, this will serve as our accessory dwelling unit. Under the findings of facts, there's statement number one is that under 2.1 is the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The applicant indicates that's a true statement. And to support that is written, there is no known or anticipated impact to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because this is a residential use. Under 2.2, the statement is the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. To support this, the applicant, first of all, he says that's a true statement as well. To support that, he has written, it is anticipated that the structure will be consistent with other farm structures within the county and represents an enhancement in value to the forested property and surrounding properties. Under 2.3, the statement is, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. And the applicant indicates that's a true statement and writes in support of this that the strict application of the ordinance will limit my ability to manage the property as desired within the classified forest program. Additionally, it is my family's intent to build a residence on the property as indicated on the site plan within the next 24 to 36 months. And this smaller living space will then meet the criteria for an accessory dwelling. For the technical reports, the surveyor made no comment. The health department states they have no objections. And staff writes in their recommendation that they support the petitioner's request to allow the ADU to be constructed before the primary home. So gentlemen, we are open for discussion on this application.
Well, I have some questions. He says address Morgantown Road, but it's actually on Cooper Road, which is right down there. There's some pretty expensive homes there. You can have a house that compares to that?
We'll get you back up to the microphone, please. Thank you.
Would anticipate that the home that would be built would be in the range of 3,000 square foot. We had raised 4 children in our current house. They're all grown and moved out and would downsize just a little bit to build the home. Not sure what the dollar value of that would be, but would anticipate that it would be within the standards of the homes in the area.
Okay, you answered it to suit me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I got a question. Is the septic by the barn going to be sufficient for the house also?
According to the individuals who put it in, yes, the septic field would accept flow from the barn structure as well as a house.
Any other questions for the applicant, gentlemen? No? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we're still open for discussion.
You know, I'm curious if he still has a home or who lives in his present home, but it seems like you're only going to wait a year or so, that you could probably wait a little longer.
I would be in support of this if a motion is made to approve it. I think that it's consistent with what we've done in the past, not that that's necessarily our governing principle.
What kind of a time limit would you impose on this, since we have generally done that?
I wouldn't. I think in his application, he's written he's going to do it within 24 to 36 months, and that'll be part of his record. So I don't know that we need to. I don't think we need
Yeah,
to
I would
put
vote
one
for
on
it if we had a time limit on when he was going to build.
Mr. Robinson, come back up here a minute. Might want to just grab a seat there when we're done. No. When we're done with
Yes,
this
sir.
question, just to save you a couple steps. So Mr. Rumbaugh's talking about time constraints, and you've indicated on your application, I believe 24 to 36 months. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you see any issue that you wouldn't begin construction within 36 months on this?
No, not at all.
Okay. Mr. Rumball,
And
anything
if
for
required,
the applicant?
if required, we'd be comfortable signing affidavit to that effect.
Completion or can start? 36 months to start or 36 months completion?
If there's a requirement to have a house completed within 36 months, then we just pull the time period forward to start.
Special exception, so I think it's
Yeah.
a reasonable question to ask.
Within 36 months completed, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. There you go. All right, other discussion, gentlemen? No? Open for a motion.
I'll move that we approve petition D-24-14 with all findings of fact being found true.
With no conditions attached to that? Okay, do I have a second to that? Mr. McGrath seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, that is approved 4-1. Thank you very much. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is SE-24-06. Peggy Reeves is requesting a special exception use to operate an in-home daycare in a residential district. This property is located at 11782 Northeast Drive in Madison Township and is zoned R2. And for this application, I have Peggy Reeves signed up as the applicant and certainly in support of the application, and I do have an interested party that we'll call up as well. Peggy Reeves.
My name is Peggy Reeves, and my address is 11782 Northeast Drive, Canby, Indiana, 46113. And I am wanting to move my licensed in-home child care from Marion County to Morgan County to my new home. I've been licensed with the state for 13 years, and I've had no violations, no reports, no complaints. And I have lived in a residential neighborhood with an HOA with stricter covenants and still did not have any complaints or problems. It won't impact anybody in the neighborhood because my driveway is so deep that the cars can park on the driveway, not on the streets. And I do have several inspections every year. I have one from the state for licensing, 3 from the food program to make sure I'm USDA compliant, 1 for past equality, and 1 for accreditation. And there are no other accredited home child cares in Morgan County that I could find, so I would like to have mine moved here. I think that's it.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
I don't think so.
All right. Gentlemen, questions for the applicant?
I can be licensed for 16. Some of those would be before and after care.
I didn't hear, what was that number?
Oh, I can be licensed for 16. Some of those could be before and after care. I have three grandchildren who would be before and after care, so there would be 12 or 13 full-time.
So I'm a little confused. You live there now?
We just bought it, yes. We're still moving in.
I've got a Rocky River Drive in Indianapolis address for you. Is that
Yes.
an old address?
That is the house we just sold.
All right. And you're going to run this daycare out of this house. You're going to have up to 16 kids
Yes,
there. And it's going to be, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, is that right?
7 to 5:30.
7 to 5:30?
We have two parents that are enrolled that come at 7. The rest of them usually around 8.
And are you the sole provider of care to these children when they're there?
No, I have an employee who's been with me for 13 years.
Sorry?
I have an employee who's been with me for 13 years.
This employee is coming down here to work
Yes.
this one as well. And are they going to be living there on the property as well?
No.
No. So I'm looking at an aerial photograph of the property. Gentlemen, are you okay if I have her come forward and explain a few things in this photo? All right. Can you come up here? And we're going to kind of gather together here so everybody can see this at one time. But I have a question for you. So this is the house that you're going to be operating the daycare out of?
Yes, sir.
And what is this?
That is an RV that the prior owners had. It is not there any longer.
So that's off the property?
That is off the property.
All right. And then what is this building?
This is a garage, a detached garage.
Okay. And this building, or this?
It's oh, that's a solar panel.
Okay. And what is this?
That is another garage that's gonna hold my husband's motorcycles.
Okay. Yeah, are there any other structures on this property?
This is actually a shed as well. And that's where I have like household goods and paperwork and Christmas trees, stuff like that.
Okay, and, all right, thank you very much.
But you're gonna keep the kids inside your house? Absolutely. Okay. I didn't know if it was in the garage, had a,
How big is the house?
Is the property gonna be fenced in?
It is fenced in currently. About a quarter acres fenced in and then partially fenced for the other part of it. But the kids would stay in the fenced area.
How big is your house?
It is 1,300 square feet, I believe. We would have to have 572 square feet for 16 children. It's 35 square feet per child.
Is this house approved like yours is in the city?
I have to finish this first. I'm in the process of the licensing, yes. She'll be out on Wednesday.
So, again, and I apologize, maybe, I'm
That's
sure
okay.
it's just me, I'm a little confused. You said that the children, you were asked the question, are the children going to be in the house? And you said yes, but I see something marked play area on here.
That's behind the garage. That's where I have like a slide structure, balls, just play toys. And those would be behind the shed so that it's not bothering anybody's sight lines.
Okay.
It's not inside, it's outside.
All right, I'm going to ask you to come up here again to point out something else on this photo. I'm going to go down here, kind of split the middle. Can I borrow your microphone for a minute? So this building here I'm pointing to is I don't know which direction it is, but off to the, looks like the left side if you're standing on
Yes.
the street out there. Is that somebody else's residence?
That is somebody else's residence here that they're working on. This one here is a burnt shell of a house. This one here is a burnt shell of a house, and this one here is one that they are working on.
All right, and then what are these other,
I have no idea. I can't see what they are back there with the tree line.
okay, thank you. You can step back now. Thank you very much. So, Ms. Reeves, when the children are out in this play area, is the neighbor whose house we were just talking about, that's beside you to the left as you're standing on East Drive, can they see these children back there playing?
If I don't put up a privacy fence on the south side of the house, yes.
Okay, and how far is it from the play area to that neighbor's home?
That I don't know.
I mean, is it, just give me your best guesstimate.
Double from here to the wall.
Okay, so,
From me to
so
the wall.
pretty close, right?
I call that pretty far compared to what I used to be.
We're out in the country
Yes.
now. And you mentioned they could see it if you didn't put a privacy fence up. Is it your intent to put a privacy fence up?
My intent is to put a 6-foot chain link fence with the privacy barriers. They're black rods that can go in.
And that would be done before you start bringing children onto the property?
I can do that this weekend.
All right. Thank you. Gentlemen, other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
When you get these children in your school, do you fill out a form in case they get sick or get stung by a bee or they're allergic to something?
Yes,
Do
there
you
are.
have medical care that knows where you're at and all of that?
Yes, I have to notify the fire department that I have an in-home child care. Everybody has to fill out emergency contacts, a contract. There's about 20 forms that they have to fill out that I have to keep on file, and shot records, physicals. We have to have drug tests and physicals.
One gets desperately sick and has to go to the hospital, they know where they're supposed to go.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a question for you, please. I'm looking at the owner of the property is Lasby's, or Lisby's?
That's the old owner. That's the old owners.
So you're just gonna be renting this?
I'm sorry?
Are you renting this property?
No, I own it.
Okay.
We closed on it a week ago.
Okay. No other questions for me.
I got a question, quick. Maybe I missed it, but is it going to be fenced in?
Yes, it is fenced in currently.
What, any other questions, gentlemen?
I have none.
Thank you. All right, this is a request for a special exception use.
Have an interested party.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do have one. I didn't mean to ignore you out there. Lori, is that right? Lori Ann McKee? Come on up, Lori, to the microphone there. Thank you, gentlemen.
No, I forgot what I'm supposed to tell you. Name and address?
Pull your
My
mic
name
down.
is Lori.
Pull the mic down.
Microphone
please.
down.
My name is Lori Ann McKee. My address is 11785 Northeast Drive, Canby, Indiana, 46113. And my property is across the street from hers.
Okay. Thank you. And what would you like to say, or?
I don't mean to be derogatory. I have not met my new neighbor. I haven't seen her at all. I've seen them outside. I usually avoid being outside because I have Merkel cell cancer and I'm not supposed to be in the sun. That doesn't mean that I don't go outside, because I do, because I'm bad. And I also have a daughter who works third shift that lives on site. She owns half the house, I own half the house. 16 kids sounds like a lot of kids. She mentioned that there would be no street parking. I've got a picture where they've already been parking in the streets. Now, I do not know if that was family or if that was the daycare kids. The daycare kids, I do believe, are already there, and I understand with the time frame that she's got. I mean, like she said, she bought it a week ago, and I don't know what you expect her to do with all those kids that she's babysitting. The noise level is something that concerns me, just because there are really no other children. The police officer, he's not a police officer, he's reserve police officers about 4 houses down, and he's got 2 kids. And you hardly ever hear that. Just saying. I don't know how many kids you're allowed per square feet. I don't understand that question.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I don't understand how many kids you're supposed to have per square feet a house.
I don't either, but tonight, that's really not our issue.
Well, what I was reading, it said 7. But that doesn't necessarily mean it applies to our county. I don't know. It was a state statute or something like that. And with having 2 people, I know that changes it
I
too.
can't hear you.
I said having 2 people to care for the children there, I don't know how that changes the ratio of how many kids can be per square feet.
Yeah, I don't either, but that is not our issue. Our issue in front of us is, should we allow this use in that space? It's up to her and different regulatory agencies that are going to determine if she is allowed to have more or less children and that type of thing.
I see. Okay, well, I just wanted to bring up the noise and the additional traffic, the additional noise, and the fact that they're already parking on the street.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's see if the board has any questions for you, okay? So just stay there for a second. Gentlemen, any questions?
No, I don't have one. No.
How long have you lived at your residence?
25 years. Minus, we had a house fire, so we were gone for 2 years while they rebuilt the house.
Thank you.
And how far is it from your house, say your front porch, to the front porch on Miss Reeves' house?
I know the lot size is 296 feet, so mine's about halfway on my property, and then hers is closer to maybe a third up. I don't know how much property she owns. Most of it, mine, the neighbors, the next neighbor, and the next neighbor are all, that's across the street from her, are all 9/10 of an acre. The
Okay.
houses are.
So, and you say your lot is about how deep?
It's 296 feet from the road to the ditch in the back.
You think you're about 200 feet back or thereabouts?
No, halfway would be like, well, because you go down the ravine, so I never go back there. That's probably another 30 feet, so maybe 150, 100 to 150 maybe, I don't know.
All right, okay, thank you. Gentlemen, any other questions?
Quick one for the applicant.
Well, let's finish with this, and then we can call her back up.
Yeah, right.
Any other questions for Ms. McKee? No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you've got a question for the applicant, Jerry. Ms. Reeves, can you step back up?
Do you notify the police and fire departments what you're doing there
Yes,
when the children
I
are
will,
there and all that?
yes. It's required, it's a requirement.
Okay, thanks.
My question is, how
Yes.
many 16 kids, is that going to be 16 cars, or is that going to be 10 cars, or what on average, if you could fill me in? And will your driveway hold everybody and get them off the street?
My driveway can hold 6 to 8 cars. I have not experienced 6 or 8 people coming at one time to drop off or pick up children.
These would be primarily preschool kids?
Infants, toddlers, and preschool.
That would be my only question. Do you have the ability to park people when they're coming and pick up their kids when they're coming to drop off their kids?
Yes. And I would make it known that there is absolutely no parking on the street. If my driveway is full, you need to go around the block and wait for somebody else to leave.
Thank you.
Art, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Are you open now?
I have 4 children right now, but 3 of them are my grandchildren and nieces and nephews.
And are there cars parking on the street now that are accessing your property?
My son-in-law was on the street.
Okay.
And I think my son parked on the street as well.
Why would they do that if there's room for 6 to 8 cars in your driveway?
That's a good question.
But
And-
you're the property owner. I mean, you're the one that's in here asking for this
'Cause they've always-
special exception. If you think you can control this with your clients, parking, and you can't control your own family, it's given me some concerns.
They've always parked on the street, and I've never told them different. All I have to do is tell them different, and they will do different.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any other questions? No. All right, thank you very much. All right, so we had the applicant, we had one interested party speak, so at this point, we are done taking testimony. This is an application, again, for a special exception. The applicant writes in the description of the request, I am requesting a special exception to the property I am purchasing to contain my in-home childcare. No development will need to take place. The childcare will be in my personal residence, which is on one lot. The hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. The childcare will be a Class 2 state licensed childcare. In addition to myself, there will be one other full-time employee and one part-time substitute. Under the findings of facts, the applicant writes, under 2.1, the operation of the special exception will not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the neighborhood because we ensure everything is clean and tidy. Under 2.2, the applicant writes, a special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the permitted purposes because we have fences installed to keep the children in our yard. The children are not permitted to be outside without adult supervision at all times. Under 2.3, the applicant has written the special exception use will not impede or substantially alter the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding properties because any play equipment will not be visible from the street. The fenced area is at the back of the house. Under 2.4, adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and other necessary facilities have already been provided. There is already electricity and water to the house, and the property has a septic system already installed. An existing county-maintained road provides access to the home. Under 2.5, the applicant writes, adequate measures have been taken to provide ingress and egress designed to minimize traffic congestion on the street. The parents of my children come at differing times between 7 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. This relieves congestion because they are not all coming or going at the same time. The driveway to the house is long enough to accommodate 6 cars without parents having to park on the street. East Drive is a local subdivision street, so the amount of traffic is low. And lastly, under 2.6, the applicant writes a special exception will be located in a district where such use is permitted. In-home child care is listed as a special exception use in R2 zoning district. For the health department, they state that the Indiana Department of Health Commercial Division will need to be contacted to determine if the existing septic system is adequate for the proposed child care business. And I don't see anything from the surveyor on this one. Staff, in their recommendation states that the petitioner has adequately satisfied findings of facts for a special exception in an R2 district, and staff recommends approval. So at this time, gentlemen, we are open for discussion.
It's sort of difficult. I mean, I know that she probably won't have any problem getting customers, that's for daggone sure. It just, I don't know, I'm not against it, but I wonder about it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other discussion on this?
It being a state licensed daycare, the regulations she'll have to follow, I mean, it's pretty stringent with the inspections and stuff. And I mean, it would be, she'll have to keep stuff cleaner and safer than if you just, without a license, kept 5-6 kids at your house. So I have no problem with it.
Other discussion, gentlemen? All right, here's my thoughts on it for what they're worth. If you say you got room to park 6-8 cars off of the road, then park the cars off of the road. It doesn't make any sense to me that you be, whether it's family or your customers, be parking on the road. Road's not really wide enough for it through there. You've been there a week. Be a good neighbor. Park the cars in the driveway. If there isn't room for it, then my answer, my vote on this is a solid no. I think you've talked about there's a fence there. You're going to put a chain link fence in. For me, I'd like to see at least on the side adjoining, and I'm going to guess and say that'd be the south side, the property to the left of your home as you're standing on the street, that have a 6-foot privacy fence of some sort, be it chain link or wood. And then the other thing is you've not yet received approval to run this business, but it sounds to me like you're off to a flying start. And until you get all your permitting in line, I don't see how we can support this application if you're going to continue to operate it before you even get permits. So if I was making a motion, I would make a motion to approve it, but I would put the conditions on there that, one, there has to be a privacy fence installed on the south side of the property. And number two, that it ceases operation until all permitting by the state and county and whoever else governs this kind of operation gives their permitting to everything. And number three, that no on-street parking take place, be it business or personal related. You know, we're given a special exception in an area that this is permitted by a special exception. So it's not, there's gives and gets with it. And, you know, you're going to, my thought is if we're going to give you this and approve this for you, that you're going to have to hold up your end of the bargain, and that is, again, that you cease operation until you get all your permitting in place, that the parking stops and a fence goes up before you bring in any more children to the home that aren't direct relatives of yours. That would be my recommendation. Mr. Crone.
One thing I would have on the driveway, if they get cars pull in, this kind of weather is okay to pull on the grass and turn around. But if you don't have rock in the winter, you may be hung up. See what I'm saying? If it's wet, damp, rainy, is there a place that you can back in and then drive out, or you got to back out on this road? How do you do that? Is it just a single driveway? Pardon? double? But you may need to put in a place where they can back in and pull out. That's my recommendation on the driveway.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this?
If you would make that motion, John, I would second it, or somebody else would, I think.
Thank you. Happy to make that motion. Any other discussion? No?
Well, who are the children you're watching right now in this house? Come on back to the microphone, please, because I want to make sure I heard right.
My niece, my grandson, my granddaughter, my other grandson, and a little boy from church.
Okay. So there's only one that's not a relative. Okay.
Any other discussion, gentlemen? Nope. All right. Open for a motion, which I'll make. Make a motion that we approve SC-24-06 with the following conditions. Number one is that all operations as a daycare provider to non-family members ends immediately and doesn't commence again until all proper permits are secured by any authority over the operation of the in-home daycare, as well as the final approval and proof of from the county for your request this evening. Number two, that a 6-foot privacy fence, be it chain link or wood, be installed along the south edge of the property, and I believe it is the south edge, but as you're standing on the road looking at your residence, it would be to the left. On that left property line, doesn't have to go the whole property line, but it does have to extend from the front to the back of the area designated as the play area for your daycare. And number three, that no on-street parking be allowed, be it daycare or otherwise related. It's not a real wide street to start with, and that you say you've got room in your driveway, then use the room in your driveway. That would be my motion.
This would include the family that lives there.
I'm sorry?
This includes everybody that lives in the house permanently.
On-street parking.
Thank you.
That's my motion. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Approved 3-2. Are you clear on everything, ma'am? Thank you. If you're not, get with Ms. Parker either after the meeting or better yet, tomorrow. All right. I'm sorry?
I just wanted to say thank you for addressing the parking.
You're welcome. All right.
And that property next door to hers, they had a meth house in it blow up, so.
Done with
I
that
know.
one.
I
If
was
you've
just
got
telling you that-
questions, come see Ms. Parker tomorrow.
I was just going to say that she can't be hurting the neighbor next to her.
All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is public hearing SE-24-07. Casey Thompson is requesting a special exception to operate a dog grooming salon in an agricultural district. The property is located at 1815 Observatory Road in Clay Township and is zoned for ag. And for this application this evening, I have Casey Thompson, the applicant, and Laura Thompson signed up in support. And I have no one else signed up to speak on behalf of this application. So Casey Thompson.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Casey Thompson. We live at 1815 Observatory Road. Laura Thompson is my wife. She is the dog groomer. She has the skill. Apparently I have the mouth. I'm talking. So we would like to get her a dog grooming. She's been grooming for 15 plus years. Very good at what she does, and she's going to try it on her own if this works out. This is going in our regular attached garage, which has never had a vehicle in it, so we weren't really using it for anything but storage anyway. So there's the electrical and plumbing is all the exact same. We were able to utilize that. Nothing need moved, nothing needed changed. It's Laura on her own, so there's not going to be a bunch of customers. It's going to be very mellow. We have a very large, wide driveway. It's actually wider than the road, with a turnaround internal in the property so they can back up into the turnaround, which is huge, and then pull forward onto Observatory Road. It's very slow. 30 mile an hour, I believe, is the speed limit. Everybody keeps stealing the speed limit signs, but when they come up, they usually say 30. So the long and short is nothing's going to change. We've talked to, I can't say every, and we sent the letters out to every neighbor that we were required, and I've talked to, I have to say, most of them. I haven't talked to every single one of them, but they're all happy and excited. And we don't live in a neighborhood, but our road is only 2 miles long, and we're all pretty close and steal and share each other's tools. So everybody knows each other. Everybody knows what's going on. So I've had no complaints. There's no change. The garage door remains, it stays. I'm not doing anything silly, bricking it in or anything like that. So it'll just appear to be a garage. We have a side entrance to the garage, so they're not coming through the house. Everything is very safe, very up. It's all gonna be insured. I can't get it insured until the proper steps are taken. This is the first step to make sure I can do this before I get commercial insurance on the dog grooming thing. But I have an insurance agent, and she's just waiting on this. So just going through the steps, gentlemen. And this is my first time, so I apologize. I'm ignorant to the thing, but I'll do my very best. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Questions? Any questions, gentlemen? No?
No, I have none.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Laura Thompson. Oh no, Laura, I've got questions for you, so come on up, please.
Hello,
Hi, could you tell us your name and address?
I'm Laura Thompson, and I live at 1815 Observatory Road.
All right, what do you want to do here, Laura?
I'm wanting to open my own dog grooming salon in my garage. I've been grooming for 17 years.
Where?
I worked at PetSmart for 15 years, and then I moved to the Hound Lounge in Mooresville for 2 years.
All right, and you're gonna do this in an unattached garage, correct?
It's attached to the house, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. And in this garage, you're gonna have dog washing stations and all your equipment in there to do that?
Yep.
Okay.
I've got a tub and a table and kennels and
So
the
you'll have
works.
some kennels there as well? Mm-hmm. So tell me how that works.
so they'll drop their dog off and I'll groom it, and then I'll put it in a kennel so it can wait until it's not just running around. It'll wait till the owners come and get it.
All right, and how many dogs will you have waiting in kennels in there?
Just depends on, like if it's a multiple dog family, like I've got customers that have like 3 or 4 dogs that they bring in at a time. Customers that bring in 1 dog, it'll probably I only do like 5 to 7 dogs a day total. So then it just depends on when they come and pick them up.
Okay, and when would it happen, or how would it happen that somebody would have to leave their dog there overnight in the kennel?
That's never happened in my 17 years of grooming. But, I mean, if it did, it would either stay in a cage or, I mean, I'd bring it in the house for a little bit and hang out, and then it'd go back in the cage at night with water and food.
Okay, and is this garage insulated? Is it anything that's, other than the outside skeleton of it, that's gonna block noise from the neighbors, anything like that?
Yeah, it's insulated, and we've got an air conditioner out there, and so it's heated and aired.
All right, and how close is the closest neighbor to this garage?
I mean, I can't, on either side of me, I can't see either house. The only house I can really see is my mother-in-law's house across the street, and I can only see the very top because her house is down in a ravine.
Mother-in-law's the closest house? Mm-hmm. You get along with her? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, she's back there.
We may have to get her up here in a minute and ask her some questions. So, I've got 2 beagles. They're noisy. They hate getting a bath. They scream like you're cutting their legs off of them when they're doing it. If they're in there and you're grooming them, is a neighbor going to be able to hear that?
No,
Not even the mother-in-law?
no.
Okay, all right. And so you're committing that you're not going to have overnight, it's not going to be a boarding kennel? There's
No.
not going to be overnight stays? That looks like you got plenty of room for cars in and out of there, that type of thing, right? And then as you're washing these, the wastewater from that goes where?
It goes to the septic tank. We've got it piped to where it'll go down to the septic.
So is that the same septic that your home uses as well?
Yeah.
All right. Gentlemen, any other questions?
You asked the one question that I wanted on record about the boarding, and I figured that wasn't going to happen, so.
All right. Have you started advertising this yet?
No, not really, no. I mean, I've told a couple friends, family, but nothing on Facebook or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, gentlemen? Nope. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we have no one else signed up to speak on behalf of or as an interested party or in opposition to this. This is an application for a special exception. And for the findings of facts, the applicant, for the description of the request, has written that they are seeking permission to operate a dog grooming salon in their attached garage. There'll be no exterior changes to the property and no remodeling of the interior of the garage, other than cleaning and painting. Clients will use our existing driveway and will enter the garage salon via the existing side service door. Petitioner Laura Thompson will be the only groomer. There will be no employees. The hours will be by appointment, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Under the findings of facts 2.1, the applicant has written the establishment, maintenance, or operation of special exception will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. Applicant indicates that's a true statement and writes, this will be a low-volume, home-based business. The few client cars will have almost no impact on Observatory Road. There'll be no physical changes to the property, so the maintenance will remain the same. We are on a privately owned septic system that is serviced regularly. It will have no problem with a few more gallons of water involved in bathing the dogs. Under 2.2, the statement is a special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. The applicant indicates that's a true statement and says the business will be 100% inside in an existing structure There will be no added noise to speak of. Even with the business in full operation, it is probable that neighbors won't notice any change. Under 2.3, the statement is the establishment of the special exception will not impede or substantially alter the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. The applicant states that's a true statement and writes to support that from the outside it will still appear to be simply a two-car garage. Nothing permanent is being changed inside the house either. All of the existing plumbing and electrical is able to be used as is, where it is. It's just a house. Under 2.4, the statement is adequate utilities, access road drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. The applicant indicates that's a true statement and writes, all utilities will remain as is, where is. Our driveway is wide and bell-shaped, which gives room and line of sight to safely pull out onto our rural road. Under 2.5, the statement is adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress, so designed as to minimize traffic congestion on the public roadways. The applicant indicates that's a true statement and writes, as stated, the driveway is extremely wide, 26 feet, being bell-shaped. It lets you easily pull out in either direction. Both sides of the driveway are maintained to give our clients a clear view for added safety. Under 2.6, the statement is a special exception will be located in a district where such use is permitted, and all requirements set forth in this UDO that are applicable to such use will be met. The applicant indicates yes, this true statement says yes, this business will be located in a district where having a home-based grooming salon is permitted by special exception. Health Department states they'll need to contact the Indiana Department of Health Commercial Division to determine if the septic system is adequate. I do not have anything from the surveyor on this application, and staff states that the petitioner has adequately satisfied the findings of facts for a special exception in an ag district and recommends approval. Gentlemen, we're open for discussion on this, and I'd like to get the Laura back up here for just a second. Laura, I got one question for you. All right, so in your description of the request, you make a statement that you will be the only groomer.
Yes.
Is there a possibility down the road that this business may grow and you want to add somebody else?
Possibly.
Do you want to scratch that out of your application before we vote on this evening?
Yeah. Yes.
Ms. Parker, Mr. Peden, is that allowed at this time? So maybe if a motion is made to allow it, and if she wants to have more than one groomer at some point in time, that would also be permitted? All right. I just don't want to hinder you with something, tie your hands, and, hope this grows into something bigger would be my thought.
Yeah.
Don't want to tie your hands by that. All right. While you're up here, gentlemen, any other questions for the applicant before we discuss? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're open for discussion on this.
It's not difficult to worry about the amount of people that go up there because not many people do. It's a crooked road, pretty road. They've got a lot of acreage. I don't see a problem if she had one or two groomers there at all.
Thank you. Other discussion, gentlemen?
It's a good location for this and a needed service.
I agree. I think if it were to board dogs, then I think it's a whole different animal. But at this point, that's not what she's asking for.
Intended with that.
I like my dogs.
Sorry, I
I'm
had
not
to.
going to board them. I know everybody in here is a dog lover, so, myself included. No, I would think this would be a good exception and good use in that area. Would have no problem with this. Any other discussion, gentlemen? We're open for a motion then.
I would like to move to approve petition SE-24-07 with the exception that there could be up to 2 groomers in this location.
Thank you, Mr. Rumball. Do I have a second to that motion? We do have a second to that. All in, I'm sorry? I needed to see who it was. Did you catch it? Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. It is approved, and it's unanimous. So, good luck, guys. Nice job on your application. You went into a lot of detail, and you did fine up here talking. Don't sell yourself short. Just make sure you got everything set up before you start shaving dogs there. Don't jump the gun on it. All right. Mr. Peden, do we have a BZA attorney's report this evening?
It is, yes. It was on Channel 59.
Give my dog some treats tonight for nothing. Other than National Dog Day, Mr. Peden, do we have anything this evening? No, thank you. That was good. Ms. Parker, do we have a plan director's report this evening? Okay, all right. Well, well, I guess that's good. Growth in the county, hopefully. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Second. All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.